This is Rob Tubber Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by former WBO middleweight champion of the world, Irish Andy Lee. We're in Dublin today for the first time, might I add. Nice to see you, Andy.
Yeah, welcome to our gym, whitecollarboxing.ie in Dublin, in Harold's Cross. And thank you for making the journey over.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Despite us being, 5,000 miles away together for the last 10 days, we decided to do it here and to come over today. But thank you very much for having us in the gym.
Yeah, you're welcome. And not everyone's welcome, but you're welcome. There you go.
Thanks very much, Andy. That means a lot. Right, okay. Where do we start? The last few weeks have been somewhat of a blur for me, so I can't imagine what it's been like for you. Let's start with Las Vegas before we come on to Paddy and Jay, who we've obviously just had a chat with and seen work out today. Had yourself a good time in Las Vegas, Andy?
I enjoyed it. Well, the win. Everything else outside of that was just work. And literally could have been anywhere in the world because, as I said to you then, we just went to the gym and back to the house every day. Repeated it, twice a day. And then, you're always focused. You're not tense, but you're in the zone, and you're there for a job, and you're there to do a job, and everything else, it all means nothing unless you win and get the result. And fortunately, we did. And then then the release came of pure joy and a satisfaction in seeing a plan executed to perfection, and it worked. Worked perfectly. So yeah, it was good. Very gratifying, very satisfying night.
Now, there's a million questions I'd like to ask you about kind of the whole experience, really, that led up to the win over Deontay Wilder for Tyson. But first of all, let's talk about the camp. We're now after the camp. I was around Las Vegas for the fight week and the build-up. I lost count of the amount of rumours I heard about injuries, about cuts reopening, about Tyson having bad spars. Now the fight's out of the way. What was the camp like?
Camp was perfect. I'm not sure. There was a couple of days when Tyson messed around, and just to see if leaks would happen, feigned injury, or pretended to limp a little bit after a certain sparring session, just to see what would happen. And that's the type of level of deviousness you're dealing with him. Inside his own training camp, where he'll put on a show, an act, play act, to see if anyone talks outside the camp. But like I said it before, and everyone says it before fights, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt, but he absolutely performed perfectly in training. He worked extremely hard. And people might be surprised because they see the big, larger-than-life character, but when it comes to training, he works extremely hard, very focused, very serious about what he does. And he didn't cut any corners or allow himself any small treats or small mercies. He just stuck to his diet regiment, was strict as he could be with his diet, with his eating, with his sleep, and with everything he did. And maybe he had to, because he knew the fight he was in, but it all was worth it.
I interviewed Deontay Wilder the night before the fight, which was obviously just after the weigh-in, and he said that Tyson's not taking this seriously. Look at his way. I've been calling him Big Mama all week and blah, 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 blah. Is that what we saw? The kind of gamesmanship, the deviousness from Tyson? As I understand it, he may have drunk a considerable amount of water before he got on the scales. Do you think that did play a part in Wilder's mental preparation?
Yeah, Tyson's a master of mind games. Even when he's not trying, he can do it, Tyson just played him all the time. It's all performance, And even if you look at the press conference, Wilder put on a great performance at the press conference, and he really always overtalked Tyson and outtalked Tyson. But that was good because he left that feeling I've got a victory there. I won that. But that also takes away a little bit of the fight out of him. Tyson was just subdued. Tyson was Tyson knew exactly what he had to do. And when Tyson wanted to raise it, when Tyson came out aggressive at the start of the press conference, Wilder was aggressive. And then when Tyson was soft and nice, Wilder followed suit. So Tyson was playing him the whole time. Yeah, he's the master. He does a lot of little tricks. Even I'll see him do full interviews, and he'll come up with something just out of the blue, and you'll be convinced he's telling you the truth when it's absolute lie.
What's that like for you as a trainer? Do you have to pull him to one side and say, "Listen, Tyson, are you being serious here?" Or what's that like for you when you're trying to keep control of somebody like that?
No, there was one day when he like pretended to have a bicep injury and pretended to shake out his hand, and then like after the training, and then we got back to the house. He was like, and I was really concerned. He was like, "Did you see what I did there? I was just messing around." I was like, "Oh my god, this is a joke." You know what I mean? I was really concerned about his bicep, but it wasn't a problem.
Fight night itself was interesting. I felt like, obviously we've heard all of the stuff about Deontay Wilder, which we'll come on to. I don't know why I'm surprised, because we see it before a lot of Tyson's fights, just how unnervingly calm he is before the fights. In the changing room, he's very relaxed, almost nonchalant in his approach. Did that surprise you?
No, I thought that. I asked him, what will your mood be like? While we were training, he said, I'll just be like this. And that's the best way to be in it, I think. When I performed to my best, that was my attitude. The fight is hard enough, you don't need to be fighting yourself before the fight. And yeah, I always had this saying, and I took it from a film, but it was in my book, and it was always my mantra when I was in it, like performing, it was take the little things very serious and take the big things very lightly. So you'd be, like he did. His diet, his hydration, his sleep, the small things, took them very seriously, and then the big thing, like the fight, just treat it like any other day. And the whole day of the fight, he was extremely relaxed. There was probably about 7 or 8 lads, friends and family, who we called over to the house along with us, and we sat around talking about nothing, not the fight, but everything else, And then he was very relaxed, extremely relaxed. Had a good long nap during the day, and then you saw what he was like in the dressing room. Just another day at the office.
What was it like for you? How did it compare? I'm always fascinated to speak to ex-fighters, particularly somebody such as yourself who achieved an awful lot as a professional, who cross over then into training, managing, promoting. What's it like for you being on the other side of it? Well, not quite on the other side, but being a trainer or part of the training team as opposed to the fighter for such a massive fight as well?
Like the night before the fight, I wasn't worried, but I felt like I was under pressure because we'd come to this fight, we'd worked so strict on the game plan. I believed in the game plan. I knew it was the right approach to have, so we all worked on it together, and Tyson was on board as well. But then obviously, it's like the last minute you're thinking, is this the right thing to do? Because Wilder is such a vicious puncher, is it the right thing to stand in front of him? So not that I had doubts, but I just, because I was the one to recommend Sugar Hill, I was the one to, put all this together. I felt like if this goes wrong, if this game plan that we put together is wrong, it's going to be on me. I'm going to feel it the most, because obviously I have an affinity to Tyson. It's more than, we've always been close. We're cousins. It's not just a coach. Now it's a coaching relationship, but before that, and it always will be, closer than that. So, I felt pressure. But then I woke up the morning of the fight, and whatever it was about the morning of the fight, it was raining, and I felt like, this is a good day. And I just believed that he was going to knock Wilder out. So it went well. I forgot what the question was, but that's the answer.
The question was something along the lines of how you felt before. Yeah,
I was under pressure before, like the night leading up to the last couple of days before the fight, but you're so focused and you're so, like, I felt so good about it when I saw him the morning of the fight, seeing what frame of mind he was in. I felt like it's going to be a great day, and it was.
How soon into the fight did you think, okay, this is what we should have been doing? Not should have been doing in the first week, obviously you weren't involved, but this is working. Those thoughts that you had before the fight, the night before, about, maybe, is this the right way? How soon after that first bell were those worries alleviated?
Well, in the first round, I was worried because there was 2 clean right hands that landed from Wilder, which Tyson just walked through. He felt them all right, but he walked through, and that might have demoralised Wilder a little bit. But I think it was after round 3 I felt like, this is going really, really well. And there's a he could have fell foul of being too comfortable and switching off, but we kept him focused. That was my instructions. Sugar Hill was keeping, maintaining reiterating what we had worked on. But it was, for me, it was just to tell him to compose himself, refocus, pick his shots, especially after round 4 or 5, because he was in. There was a chance he could have smothered his work. He was kind of getting too much into the maul-in, just to recompose, set your feet, and like in round 7, Sugar Hill said to him, "You know what to do: left jab, feint, step back, 1-2." And exactly as soon as the bell went, he went out and did it, and it was perfect stuff.
Now, I'm one of these people who loves to watch the interactions in the corner. Hate it when you watch a show and it cuts to the commercials and it comes back. Absolutely hate it. I haven't seen Sugar Hill's corner work yet. I don't think BT Sport have put it out just yet. But from the little bits that I have seen, there were echoes of Emmanuel Stewart in there. We've seen Emmanuel Stewart read the Riot Act in the past to Jermaine Taylor. We've seen him do it to Lennox Lewis. It wasn't quite on that level, but it was a very direct approach in the corner. Tell us about that and the dynamic during the fight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, echoes of Emmanuel, and he didn't have to be that animated. He said what he had to say very directly, and it was only one or two things. The only criticism he gave of Tyson at the start was your step back is too slow. You have to take a quicker step back and back into him, and he did that after the first round. Tyson made that adjustment, and then once we got into round 6 and 7, he said, "Go ahead and get him out of there. Why are you waiting around? Let this fella wait around." It's similar to what Emmanuel has said at different times, but not as animated, not as yeah. So I just said, just go get him out of there now.
Much of the talk, certainly some of the talk following the fight has been about Deontay Wilder's ring attire, or whatever you want to call it. You're a fighting man. You're a former world champion. What are your thoughts when something like that comes out after the fight?
It reflects poorly, doesn't it? Even if it's legit, anything that you have, even like if you're going in with injuries or anything, to come out with an excuse after being beat always looks bad, I think. And it's like what Tyson said yesterday on the morning show, where he said they can't just admit they got beat by the better man. It has to be to find some excuse. But I don't know. Look, it could be legitimate, but who cares? He shouldn't come out and say it's done now. It won't change the result.
Watched an interview after the fight. Coogan interviewed Tyson, and Shane was knocking about as well. And it was quite a weird feeling for me. I watched it, and one of the first things that Tyson and Shane said, "Oh, they'll say Wilder's no good now. They'll say he's this, and they'll say he's that." I actually found that quite sad.
I said that about 4 weeks before the fight, how Tyson was looking in training, and I woke and I just had this thought in bed lying. I went over for breakfast before we did our morning session. I said, "You know what's going to happen? You're going to dominate Wilder. You're going to look so good that they're going to take all the credit away by saying Wilder was never that good, that he was one-dimensional, that he was a puncher." That's what seems to have happened. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. People forget everything's great in hindsight, but what you have to remember is the contrast in the first fight and this fight. The performances, the result, and just how dominant he was compared to the first fight, where he was flicking these punches, running and moving before he even landed his shot, and just trying to avoid and coast around and steal rounds. This one, he went out there and absolutely dominated him and stopped him.
Just staying with that kind of the fallout and people potentially not giving Tyson the credit he deserves and really underselling just how much of a threat Deontay was. How much do you think of that Tyson? The reason why I say sad is I watched this interview with somebody who has been through everything that he's been through over the last 2.5 years. He's finally climbed the top of the mountain after being robbed, in my opinion, horrendously 18 months previous. And one of the first things that comes out of his mouth is that he feels he's not going to get the right credit for it, and he feels that people are going to put him down. How much do you think of that was due to what had happened after the Vladimir Klitschko win, when Tyson felt that he had been wrongly persecuted by the media?
Yeah, I don't know. Just backs against the wall bunker mentality, isn't it? But that's probably what makes him great as well, the fact that he's got to keep proving himself even after winning a fight like that. But he doesn't. And I think he's pretty happy now. I think he's pretty happy. I think in somewhere inside he might have, because he's ups and downs with his mental health. But when you peel it all away, there's no one will take that away from him. What he's done so far in his career, and if he continues, he's only I can only see him getting better and better and better. And he says he's got 2 fights left. If he beats Joshua, he's got to be considered best heavyweight of all time, hasn't he? He has to be. I know he's not fighting. I know these guys aren't George Foreman and Joe Frazier that he's fighting, but they're still considered the biggest puncher in heavyweight history. And Anthony Joshua, before the Ruiz fight, was considered the main man. So you got to beat a prime Klitschko as well. Serious achievement.
When he says things like that, I have this theory that if he only has 2 more fights, that it's a travesty for the sport. That's my own personal opinion. I feel like somebody who's as talented as Tyson is, and certainly who's showcased the kind of mental strength that he has, for whatever reason, to only have 2 more fights on the back of that, I feel we as a sport would lose out tremendously. Do you feel that same way? Would you like to see him carry on, or is it completely up to Tyson?
Yeah, I think it's up to him, and I don't think so. I think we've seen enough of him now. He's 31. If he has these 2 fights, they've taken him to 32. He's rich beyond his dreams. He'll have achieved everything. So what's there left to do? What's there left to do? It's a tough game, and it's a tough game at the heavyweight. At that weight, the human brain can only take so much. The training, the sparring, the body, especially when you're that big as well, all the aches and pains. So, no. I think he'll retire after the 2 fights. They'll offer him some serious money to come back, and he will come back. That's what I see happening, really, in this world, because he'll get sick of sitting around. He won't know what to do. He'll offer him some really stupid money, and he'll come back and beat whoever's the champion.
You mentioned him beating Vladimir Klitschko. He beat the master boxer in Germany. He went to America and outpunched the biggest puncher, arguably of all time, in the heavyweight division. What does that say about Tyson Fury? How good is he?
Yeah, as I said, he's in the conversation for the greatest heavyweight of all time. What it says about him is just he's a unique individual. He is an unbelievable man, and to be around him, how honest he is, how open he is, to spend time with him. He's an absolute gentleman, but he's fiercely competitive. I don't know. He's an intelligent man too. He's a very, very clever person, and I don't know. I think it's good he's getting the recognition now. He's regarded as the best, and that would mean a lot to him.
How much does it mean to you to be involved in that?
Oh, it's an honour. Yeah, it's an honour just to be part of it. To be in there. I might have went a bit overboard with my celebration. But I was genuinely happy. As happy as winning the fight myself, winning the world title myself, just as happy. I don't think I jumped around as much then, but it was great to be part of it, to work so hard. And what was great about it was that we worked so hard for that, not work so hard, but so diligently at that approach, that game plan, that strategy, that mindset, and he just carried that out perfectly. It's one thing having the game plan, training for it, but also then the fight of doing it. It was just, it's absolutely, that's what makes him so good.
Are you surprised that Deontay Wilder has invoked the rematch clause?
I am, yeah. I'm surprised that they are taking it. Him and his advisors are taking it. I'm sure his ego wants to take it, and he wants it back to get that fight. But I think there should be someone who would say, look, let's fight Ruiz, let's fight somebody else, and then come back fight Tyson again. Just let him build a little bit more. But a champion wants to get it back straight away, and he's a champion. He's got that mindset. So, he has made excuses, but who knows what was really going on back there when he was training for the fight. So maybe it will be an improved performance, but I just can't see how he's going to change now. Tyson's only going to get better at what he's doing.
From a mental point of view, going back over the years, but the most recent, probably obvious example that sticks out, Sergey Kovalev, of being that bullying power puncher who knocks everybody out, has this aura of invincibility, and then all of a sudden you get stopped. Do you anticipate that playing a part in Deontay Wilder's mindset coming into a third fight?
I think it's a big mental hurdle you have to get over. And I think Tyson's always intimidating him. And I'm not sure how he's going to try and overcome that, especially after this loss, the manner of it. It's not just a loss, it's the manner of it. He got beat in a public realm, got beaten down by another man. So it's tough, going to be a tough one to take. But I commend him for taking the fight, the rematch. Now, whether it actually happens or not, whether it's just posturing to get more money or get step aside money or whatever may happen. But I think if they want it again, Tyson would be more than happy to give it to him.
You spoke to Tyson about a potential third fight?
Yeah, well, last time we spoke, he said, it looks like it's going to happen. They got the date. He said, we'll be ready to go training again.
Last one on Tyson. Obviously, we've seen him now capture the WBC title, which was the only title that eluded him when he won the titles off of Vladimir. Any question about him being the best heavyweight in the world now? Obviously, you've got Anthony Joshua who's just regained the unified championships. We all want to see that fight, whether it's next year. Maybe that's the fight that gets Tyson out of retirement down the line. Is there any doubt for you that he's A, the number one heavyweight in the world, and B, that he beats Anthony Joshua?
No doubt with either of those questions. Don't need to elaborate. He's the best out there. And if he fights Anthony Joshua, it's an interesting fight because Joshua can't fight Tyson in that style he fought Ruiz. He can't box a move. So he's going to have to try and be aggressive. But now Tyson's got a whole new attitude in terms of his approach. So it could make for a really exciting fight. But I think Tyson wins. He's just mentally too strong for all of them. And I go back to that famous interview with Emmanuel Stewart and whatever it was back in Stanglewood in the Klitschko camp when he said the two down heavyweights would be Wilder and Fury, but Tyson Fury is the one because he's made of a toughness. And I go back to that, and it's the truth. Champions are made on the inside. Emmanuel always said that.
Staying with that, we spoke on the Monday of Fight Week about you used the word similar to, I think you said you'd felt Emmanuel's presence throughout the camp. With that ringing in your ears and that interview that everybody has seen and everybody refers back to, and on the back of such a dominant performance, such a conclusive finish, how proud are you to be able to fulfill that prophecy and carry on that legacy started by Emmanuel Stewart?
Yeah, his name's ringing around again, and I think it will do for a long time. His legacy is, it's still continuing, his legacy, and it's nice to continue it, and he still lives because the things he taught me, I teach now to my fighters. And so his words are still carrying on, even though he's gone a good few years now. So yeah, it's nice to see the Kronk back where it should be as well, at the top of boxing, where it was for years, and now it is back again. And look, Sugar Hill, I knew what he could do as a coach, and I knew his personality. I knew how he'd work with Tyson, and I knew he just needed a chance. And I'm sure he's going to be very much in demand now going forward.
Any chance if the third fight happens, we can see Tyson in the Kronk shorts?
I think he's got too many sponsors. I don't think the Kronk Gold would look good plastered with every other sponsor in the world. The Kronk shorts are classic. They're just. But it would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice.
That was a little rumour that was going around the press room.
Put out that photograph. We had them back in the house. But he's got too many contracts.
Just final one on Tyson before we talk about your other two fighters that you've got with you in Paddy Donovan and Jay Quigley. We've spoken at length in the past about the traveller community and what it means to be a fighting man in the traveller community. You now literally work with the Gypsy King. Yeah. That's his name. If he wasn't before, he's surely now gone down in folklore for years and years and years. What does that mean to you as a fellow traveller to be able to be a part of something like that really will last the test of time?
Well, it's just nice for him because, when we grew up, we were watching guys who was hard to identify with, like Muhammad Ali or Roy Jones or Winky Wright or fighters like that. But now young travelling gypsy boys can see Tyson, see someone from their background who's lived a life like they've lived, been through their life and achieved the greatest thing in sports. So he's an inspiration to so many. And yeah, I think it's nice for me to be part of it, but It's more of what he's doing it. I'm a tiny cog in a massive wheel, and he's doing it really. So, yeah, it's good.
Moving on, we've been privileged today to have a close-up look at your other two charges, in Paddy Donovan and Jay Quigley. I actually said this to Paddy 18 months ago-ish, when we sat down in LA for Wilder Fury 1. You didn't mention coaching, you didn't mention training, you just really started to do your analyst work. And then fast forward 18 months, you've got the best heavyweight in the world, you've got Paddy Donovan, you've got, you're working with them.
Best prospect in the world, I think, yeah. Yeah, Paddy is sensational, yeah.
He certainly is. Tell me a little bit about what went from, I think I'll maybe do some analyst work and maybe do this, to all of a sudden really thrusting yourself into the coaching role.
Paddy. I've known Paddy since he was a kid, and I've known his dad a long time. And I went up to watch him box in the national finals and semi-finals and things like that, and he was just sensational, talented, and he wanted to turn pro, he wanted to work with me, and I thought, if ever I was going to do it, now it's like he's the one, because I could be waiting around a long time to find somebody who can fight like him. And we met each other, spent time together, we get on, and he's got a nice personality, he's a very respectful young man, and that was it. That's what got me back into it. I called Top Rank and got him a great deal with them, and that's it. Been working every day since Jason Quigley came around. He lost the fight to Tyriano Johnson, but Jason be somebody who I would have kept in touch with a lot and gave advice to, and I know I can improve him. I know he has improved, not hugely, but by degrees, and that's how it does work. And I think Jason's got a lot to do in the game. Yeah, I think people haven't seen the best of him, and I think he's maybe 2 fights away from, or maybe 1 fight away, 2 fights away from a real breakout fight, and then his name will be ringing around boxing again. And he's not too far away from a world title shot if he just plots himself right. He's had 2 fights with me now. They were just both learning exercise fights, really, and he's improving in the gym. And I think he's not too far away from being up there again.
Obviously, I spoke to Jason about him coming back here. He's predominantly based his professional career over in America, as you did. Came back to Sheffield, but he said that he's never been as happy as he is now. He's back home. Now he's back here working with you. How important is that for a fighter to be happy, to be content with their situation, aside from the training, which is what he said?
It's huge. It informs everything. It's no point in being happy training and going home to misery, because if you're not happy outside the gym, you can't be happy. In the gym you can't perform. So it's about life training balance, isn't it? And I think he felt like he had to go to Sheffield to put himself in an uncomfortable position. But I think he's found a good balance now. He lives here in Dublin. When he's training, he goes home to Donegal. I think it's important for him to be happy, to be in good spirits, and to be upbeat. There's no point in being depressed and then trying to come in and force yourself through a workout.
You mentioned the two comeback fights he had after the Tyriano Johnson loss. He sat down and spoke to me about potentially, obviously we've seen the Jack Cullum fight mentioned by Eddie Hearn recently, but potentially any fights at 160 and 168 for him. Surprised me to hear him talking about 168. I know he's been at 164, 165 for his comeback fights, but where can we realistically expect the future to lie for him? And is that Jack Cullum fight what's looking most likely next for him?
Yeah, he'll fight Jack Cullen. I don't think he's... Jack Cullen's a tough guy. He's a good fighter. We'll give Jason a good test for this stage of where Jason's at in his development. And... But we'll happily take that fight if it comes about next. I think Jason is really probably going to be a 168 fighter. I think he is. I think he'll be comfortable there. He'll be stronger there. But we're still in the middle. He's kind of caught in that zone where he can 168. He's probably a bit too light for walking around, but making 160 is a bit because you look at all the other divisions. It's only 2-3 pounds, and it's 4 pounds from light middle to middle is 4 pounds, but then it's a jump of 8 pounds to super middle, which is a big difference. So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring him, and where the opportunities come, that's where we'll take the fights.
Going back to Paddy, I spoke to Paddy, and he was, cock a hoop about boxing at Madison Square Garden on St. Patrick's Day. Particularly at this stage of his career. He's young, he's very talented. How much of your job is reining him in where necessary and pushing him where necessary? What's that kind of input at this stage of his development?
No, it's all new for him, and it's exciting. I can't take that away from him. We've got to let him run, and enjoy it. You saw him in Las Vegas. He was all over the place. He was in every photograph, and he was everywhere. But that's good for it. That's good. He's not a young guy. It's good experience. And as long as he's training hard and doing his job in the gym, then I don't have to worry about him too much, which he is. So it's good.
Mentioned that him being in kind of every photo and being around Las Vegas reminded me of conversations that we've had in the past about Emmanuel bringing you to shows and having you work corner and having you do this. Is that going to be kind of a permanent fixture within your role as a trainer coach moving forward?
Yeah, if I can, yeah. Tyson was, good enough to allow Paddy in the camp. I had to get talk to Tyson about him coming, and he said, yeah, bring him over. And with Emmanuel doing that for me, and which I'm doing for Paddy, it's about preparing him for it to be on that stage. So that when it does come his time, it's not alien to him. That he can be in the back dressing room with Tyson, see what it's like. That he can, whether it be at the weigh-in, at the press conference, to be on the inside line and know what to expect, so that when it comes his time, he'll be ready. Okay.
Well, Andy, always a pleasure catching up with you. I do appreciate your time. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social and opening the gym doors for us. Hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Anytime.